the day in life
of
a CEO.
For everyone making tacos. So grab your bun.
Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to another tutorial. Here in this video I'm going to show you how I did this high Mohawk fade. Others can call it a burst fade, however you want to call it, but let's jump straight into it. This is how my client walked in. Now, I don't know if you've seen my other videos, but I usually always start off my cut with the bald line. And since he does want to keep the V in the back, we're going to do this guideline in two sections. So I'm going to create my starting point and my ending point, and then I'll connect them. This will give us a more consistent and even line all the way through. So what I'm doing here is establishing the starting point for this blend. And as you can see, I am taking my time with this. I'm not rushing it because essentially this is the foundation of our haircut. All of our guidelines are going to follow this single line. So I just make sure to make it neat as possible. And I'm just going to replicate this on the other side and make sure that both lines are even. You can also turn your client and look at him from the front to ensure that the ball line are at the same height. As soon as I bulk everything out, I'm going to use my foil shavers to bring this down to the skin. It's going to give us a cleaner transition and also make his haircut last longer. So at the very bottom of this line, I am applying a good amount of pressure, not to the point where it's irritating the client, but just enough to make it really smooth. And as we go higher with it, I am applying less pressure just because we don't want to make that line too harsh and make it more difficult to blend out afterwards. So the first guard I'm going to be using is the 1.5 guard. I'm going in with the lever all the way closed. I am going about 2 fingers high, and we're just following that line we created as consistent as possible. This is going to be a 3-step guideline. Going to be starting off with the lever all the way closed, following that line all the way through, opening that lever halfway, and then just going up about 1/4 inch, and finally opening the lever all the way and flicking out. So I just finished the first step here with the lever all the way closed. Now I'm going to open this halfway and go up about 1/4 inch from what we just cut. Try to memorize this technique because it's the same technique we're going to be using throughout the entire process. Now I'm opening the lever all the way and just flicking out a little bit above what we just cut. This should blend in pretty nicely. It won't be perfect, but don't worry, we're gonna get to that right after this. To get rid of the bulk above the 1.5 guard, we will be using the clipper over comb technique. For this particular style, I'm not really angling the comb that much. It's more so flat to the head. We're doing this to try to keep a boxed look. Right after we do that, I'm going with no guards with the lever all the way open, and I'm going up about a finger's width. And same thing, I'm just following that line straight through. I do go over this line about 2 or 3 times just to ensure that everything is being cut consistently and evenly. Repeating our steps is gonna avoid more detailing further on. The last guard we'll be using is the 0.5 guard, and I'm going to repeat that same 3-step technique using this guard. Every time I adjust the lever, I'll be going up about 1/4 inch. So just a quick refresher, I'll be starting off with the lever all the way closed, opening it halfway, and finally opening the lever all the way and flicking out. Right now I have the lever halfway open, and at this point it should already kind of blend that line. So once we get to the lever all the way open, there should be minimal pressure applied and more flicking out, because that's just going to detail the darker area above this. I also find it easier to just use the corner of my clipper for this part. I can target the area more accurately without cutting any other space by accident. Just try to keep in mind where it is that you cut with the 1.5 guard and not past that area, because this will create another guideline and it'll require you to take additional steps. But if you were to do that by mistake, just put on your 1.5 guard again and repeat the steps in that area, and it should be able to blend that out. And finally, the last step to complete this blend, I'm taking the guards off and I'm going in with the lever all the way closed and just attacking that bottom line. And just rinse and repeat the steps all the way through. This particular clipper does have a fade blade, so it's going to allow me to get closer to the skin and help me get rid of the bald line. This is the Stylecraft Prodigy. It's a great clipper and I use it for almost all of my cuts. If you need a discount, make sure to use my code CHOOCH and you'll get a 15% discount store-wide with any Gamma or Stylecraft products. Once you complete all 3 steps, this blend should really come together already. You might notice some areas that might have some dark spots or lines, and at that point is when it becomes lever play, and you just have to mess a little bit with the lever to try to get rid of those lines afterwards. If you're unsure of the position of the lever, just start with it all the way open and close it little by little until you see it cutting anything. There might be some areas where it might be a little tricky or the blade might be too bulky to use your clippers. So that's when I pull out my trimmer and detail with just the corner of it. I do rest my index finger or my middle finger on my client's head just to avoid having the entire blade on there and accidentally, leaving him a bald spot. If you're uncomfortable using this technique, I suggest you start with it lower before getting into the higher, darker areas, just so you won't create a mistake. Now that blend is complete, I'm going to move into the beard and we're going to blend this in using that same technique, except we're working our way down now. Here I have the 0.5 guard and I'll be opening the lever more and more as I go deeper into the beard. As you can see, there's a darker area below the ear and using the 1.5 guard is going to get rid of that. Like I stated previously, if you're unsure of the lever position, always start with it open and close it as needed. Since I already have the 1.5 guard open, I'm going to cut with the grain, and this is going to get any loose ends that are sticking out and just keep the hairs that are laying down. In our final step, just like how it was for the fade, using no guards to blend in that bald line and connect the rest of that blend together. Here I'm just lining up the outer part of his beard. You don't want to bring it in too much, just trying to keep it where it grows. All we're doing is enhancing the line, making it sharper. So my client does want to grow the top of his hair. We're just going to use some clips to avoid cutting any of that growth because we're moving on to the hairline now. So unfortunately my camera was out of focus and it died when I was doing the hairline, so you probably won't be able to see the entire process, so I do apologize for that. But here I'm just trimming it down to get any of that overgrowth and just try to keep those hairs laying down. This is going to give us a sharper result. So I do usually try to face the client towards me and put him at eye level. I start at the center and move towards the side that's a little bit thinner. It could be the left or it could be the right. I just move wherever it's lighter. And really, you just got to follow the shape of their head. Because many times you'll have a client where their forehead is a little more prominent and their corners, they kind of curve in a bit. So you got to be very considerate of that when it comes to lining up the hairline. Here I'm just going to do some hot towel and razor work. I'll let you guys enjoy this part. Now that we're done here, I will be styling my client's hair with some chooch clay. This is going to add a nice soft hold while still leaving a natural look and adding lots of texture. It is available on my website if you guys are interested in purchasing some. You don't really need lots of it to do its job, but you can add more to your preference. We are getting to the end of this video, guys. Check out this final look. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. If this video helped you at all, or if you learned anything, please leave me a like. And also share this video to a barber friend or one of your coworkers. And if you do end up trying this technique, let me know how it worked out for you. If you got any questions, I'll do my best to try to help you out. This haircut was pretty fun to do, and I do believe it's pretty unique. This style is not very common, at least not for my clientele. So whenever I get a haircut like this, I enjoy the entire process. But that's it from me. I'm gonna wrap things up here. If you got this far into the video, I greatly appreciate your support. Be sure to check out my website and all my other social medias. I'm pretty active on all platforms. Thank you guys and peace out.